the build. You have the build you want for Maltese.
What is the build for Maltese? What is it, like big shoulders, or? So, do you think that was your only mistake when you were starting off? Was just not being ready when learning the full, or was there something bigger?
When you
Is that like a little hack for the Maltese?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Okay. You're blowing my mind here.
At the same time.
Another question about the negatives is like, when you kept doing the negative, like say if you went down from a handstand into a straddle and then straddled down into a straddle planche.
Yeah.
Were you able to then get the like a press from just doing the negative? Is that how you were able to get it, or did you do it a different way?
Yes, the negatives are great because yes, they can help you get planche, and they can also really help you get the planche press, which is obviously, a more advanced skill that a lot of people might want to have. And then another good one for the presses too is just either just trying to do it from straddle planche, or doing like a half rep sort of thing where you start in a handstand, go halfway down to planche or straddle planche, and then go back up. So, but yeah, no, the negatives definitely can help you get the press. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Because for me specifically, I've tried doing the negatives for ages, and I can hold it at the bottom, but the hard bit is pushing back up. But I've not done the partials, that kind of partial rate information kind of. I've not tried that. So to be fair, that's a good idea.
Yeah, definitely give that a shot. That's a good one, man.
Yeah. How long did it take you to get the planche? Because some people apparently can get it in a few months. I don't know how true that is, but for most of us, I think it takes at least over a year. So how long did it take you using that method where you worked with the hardest progression and worked backwards?
Yeah, so it's an interesting story with planche because I don't actually count my first planche as my first planche. So I started training for planche in summer 2016, something around that range. And then I got straddle planche maybe in about 3 or so months doing that. And then I really think it took me a year to get a bad full planche, a full planche that wouldn't count, hopping up, being kind of slanted, and just slowly falling down for 5 seconds, never being static, but maybe you would count it.
Yeah.
And then I don't really count my first legitimate planche, where I'm completely straight, good form, and static. That, man, I think that might have taken 2-3 years.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not saying my approach was the best, because it definitely wasn't. I was pretty unorganized, just going for random attempts all the time. But no, it took me a long time, and it was definitely a grind, but very rewarding to get to at least the level I have now with planche, and continue to improve even beyond where I have now. So definitely took a long time, very long time.
Okay, yeah, that's actually similar to my planche journey. Essentially, when I got it twice basically, but the first time I don't really count it for the same reason, because the hold wasn't that good. I was kind of slanted downwards, like a downward slope. And it was a decent hold in time, but it wasn't as straight as I would have liked it. It wasn't a strict one. But then I kind of re-got it a couple weeks ago, which was one of my last videos. So we kind of have
I saw that. I actually saw. I watched that. Yeah. I saw that.
Oh, you watched it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that one I was okay. Yeah, this is an actual decent hold where it's better form than the first time. So, okay, cool. So, do you think that was your only mistake when you were starting off? Was just not being ready when learning the full, or was there something bigger?
No, I made a ton of mistakes when I was training it, and that's what it's all about. You're right. You make mistakes, you learn from them, and you don't do it again. So, I'm trying to think. It was so long ago. This was 2015, 2016 when I was getting into the calisthenics skill training. So I'm kind of trying to remember. One mistake was I should have just jumped into it right away, because I remember I started and I was still training weightlifting and calisthenics at the same time. I was even doing 2 training sessions in a day. And, that probably wasn't.
I've done that as
well.
Wasn't
Probably wasn't the best idea. I was also training 7 days a week, doing pretty much the exact same front lever and muscle up crap every single day. So yeah, I would have just tried to take it slower. But yeah, other than that, that's really all I can think of. And then with planche, when it comes to learning that, I would have wanted to maybe start training for that sooner. So maybe, you know, after I got my front lever muscle ups, then move to planche. But I kind of got those two skills, then started training planche like way down the road, like a few months after. So I would have maybe wanted to start training planche sooner, maybe start training smarter with bands and stuff like that. But other than that, yeah, I definitely made a lot of other mistakes as well that I just can't remember.
Yeah.
But
yeah, but basically just start training smarter and just like take it easy, have a slower approach rather than just kind of trying to do everything. Because I did the same thing. With like weightlifting, calisthenics, and all that, and yeah, it gets a lot.
The bands and stuff as well. Like maybe I should be using them even more. Like even for myself for the Maltese now, like maybe even focus on that more.
Do it for the Maltese. I've been meaning to make a Maltese tutorial video, but yeah, do band for Maltese. Band for Maltese is gonna be key. Band for Maltese, the leans on the floor are really good, or leans on parallettes. Like leans are great for it. And then same thing, negatives, like wide negatives. And then, you know, just mess around with making your planche grip a little bit wider.
Yeah. Okay.
Over time. It's definitely, yeah, it's not, it's really, to keep it real with you, it's not as much of a grind as learning planches initially. Because, I mean, you have a full planche, you have a stronger base usually when you're training for Maltese. So honestly, it'll probably take like a couple months, but I mean, you'll get it for sure.
Yeah.
It's not going to be like a year. It's not like a year.
I hope not. I can't deal with a second planche journey.
And the thing is too, you're a bigger dude too. Like that's like the build. You have the build you want for Maltese.
What is the build from Maltese? What is it like? Like big shoulders or
big lats?
Big lat. Really?
You do, right? You want to try to rest your lats on your triceps when you do
is that like a little hack for the Maltese?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Okay.
It's what people do on rings when they do it.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Yeah, so you can do like if the bigger you are, like it sounds like kind of counterintuitive, but like the more mass you have, like the better you should be able, like
you can actually use that physical muscle to lean on a little bit and
like have you seen some of the gymnasts doing Maltese on rings? Like they're huge.
Yeah, like the form as well. Like I need to like go through and like actually analyze where like my shoulders are meant to be. Like are they meant to be like at a certain depth from the floor? Because I know it's meant to be low, like but I don't know how low. Like how low counts like.
So the thing is, like the width, like it's a very common misconception that you have to be like wide for it. The definition of Maltese in like the gymnastics code of points is just hanging scale at ring height. So your body just has to be at level with the parallettes basically. And honestly, don't even necessarily think of it as a planche. Think of it more as a back lever.
As a back lever. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Is the reason for that just so that if you think about it that way, you end up a bit more in line with the rings when you think of that?
Yeah. It's because Maltese is supposed to be like a pull and a push movement.
You're blowing my mind here.
At the same time. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a
trying to explain that. That's crazy. A push and a pull.
Yeah. It's weird to think about. You're kind of like pulling like back on the ring sort of while pushing up at the same time. It's really weird. You really notice on rings.
Is that only on the floor or is it only on rings or the floor? Does the floor also feel like a push and pull?
Like on floor, it's basically all push for the most part, you know, because you can't really pull on the floor, but
Yeah.
when it comes to like doing it on like vertical pulls, rings, P-bars, you really feel like you're doing some pulling.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That kind of makes sense, because if you're saying the lats come into it a lot and you're trying to use them quite a lot, then that kind of makes sense if you're on the rings.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
Kinda
that
pulling it. Yeah,
was really interesting. That wasn't even part of the questions, but that was that was
you don't have to
useful.
put that in the